We spent our childhood going back and forth to Guatemala all the time, and we would go to the farm and hang out on the farm, but we never really knew that the coffee that we were growing was such high quality. We just thought it was a farm. We never had any expectation of being in the coffee business. My grandfather never groomed us to be in the coffee business. My mom didn't necessarily groom us to be in the coffee business. She wasn't quite sure what was happening with the farm, but we still went there all the time. And when I was getting ready to graduate, my brother and I said, well, maybe we should look at this coffee thing. Maybe we can make something out of this coffee thing. And at the time, our coffee was being shipped to Rotterdam and Hamburg and Trieste for the specialty markets over there. And as a kid, we never got to drink our own coffee because it would require buying 1 container of coffee. We couldn't get a pound of coffee or 5 pounds of our coffee in the United States. So we would bring green coffee up in our baggage to Pasadena and roast it on the weekends with my dad or my grandpa. We would roast it on the barbecue, or we'd roast it in a popcorn popper. And that was just kind of like normal for us. And so when my brother and I decided to start bringing green coffee up, my grandfather said, well, if you do this, I'll let you have the pick of the litter. I'll let you choose which coffee you want from the farm, but you're going to have to do it just like all the other customers, because I can't put the farm at risk for you and your brother to experiment with it. So just like all the other customers, we had to pay him cash against documents before the coffee was put on a ship to be brought to the United States. So we borrowed some money from my dad and we bought a container of coffee. And 1 container of coffee is 250 bags weighing 150 pounds each. And I mean, it all sounds good in the boardroom, but when you actually end up taking delivery of a 20-foot container with 250 burlap bags in it, and you literally have 9 months to get rid of it and sell it, then it becomes pretty overwhelming. When my brother and I started selling the coffee in the first 2 years, we realized that we weren't going to be able to make a living from selling green coffee because the margins were so small. And a year later, we bought a roaster, which allowed us to make more money and make a living and start the business. The farm is named Finca Dos Marias, and it's named after my great-great-grandmother and my great-grandmother. We still operate the farm. It's still owned by our family. We're one of 20 owners, but we're still, working the same land, working the same plants, many of the same plants. And you want to start on the inside of the branch, and you want to roll your hands outward, but you don't want to pick any of the greens or the overripes. So you want to roll your hands outward and then drop the cherries into your basket.
Can you handle that?
I think so. We'll figure it out.
See right here.
Okay. We'll figure it out.
Ready, steady, go? Okay.
I'm doing it. I'm really doing it.
Pero,
did you guys ever think that I'd be farming coffee in Guatemala? On a Saturday morning?
At 6:30?
At 6:30?
Yeah, right?
You can sit.
That's cute. Tell him the Ben Stiller story.
Oh, yeah. Well, so his kids were going to school right down the street from Jones, and so he was coming in every morning after he dropped his kids off.
Oh, really?
And,
cool.
and
I know who he was.
and so we didn't really make that. It wasn't that big of it. We didn't make a big deal about it.
Right.
And I was experimenting with these pressurized backpacks, and I was because what I wanted to do was do drip coffee car service where we could just, go up to the car and fill up and they don't have to get out of the car. We can just, and they had these backpacks and they were kind of cool. And Green Mountain was using them for promoting Green Mountain at road stops, at truck stops. So they had these guys in the backpacks running around the truck drivers and handing out coffee. So I'm like, oh my God, this is great. Let me try this out. So we borrowed a couple of these backpacks, and they have a long hose on them inside this thing, and then they have like a cup dispenser right here on the side.
Yeah.
It looks like Ghostbusters.
Sure.
Right. So Ben's at the cash register getting his cappuccino. I said, wait. He goes, what? I said, you got to check this thing out. And he goes, okay, sure, no cappuccino, thank you. And then he so I pull out a cup and I take the thing out and I'm all, and he goes, Chuck, is it broken? I said, no, hold on. And so there's a little nut at the end that is supposed to release air so that it can actually, the vacuum works properly. So, and then I'm doing this and nothing's coming out, and then I release the nut a little bit more and I go like this, and all of a sudden the nut flies off and there is just coffee spraying everywhere, and I just like, so he's wearing a white dress shirt. Okay, I sprayed because I was standing at the side, and I sprayed the cashier, I sprayed the POS system, and I sprayed Ben Stiller, and I was like this, and I don't know why I just didn't go like this.
Put it down.
But for some reason I was just like this, and I'm thinking to myself, remember that scene when they're in the gas station? Right? And they're just like spraying the gas all over the place, and and so afterwards, one of our friends, Stacy, who's really good friends with them, like her husband produces all of his movies and stuff. So that's why he was actually had his kids at that school, because they're friends.
Oh, I see.
So Stacy, I asked Stacy later. I said, was he mad? He said he was a little bit bothered at first, but then he laughed it off. You might see the scene in a movie.
All right, let's do it. When you see the labor that goes into it, you see like how much, like how time consuming it is to do. Like that girl this morning said to fill her basket of coffee cherries in the morning, it takes about an hour to do that. And then you think, it takes between 10 and 20 seconds to extract the espresso. My point is, I'm fine with paying $5 for a cup of coffee, because you see what really goes into making a great cup of coffee. Do you feel the same way? 5 steep, that's what you're thinking. I don't know, this is crazy, man. It's beautiful here.
Coffee. So, Mom, this joke, it might be appropriate.
Gracias.
So
You're going to tell it before you ask?
This guy pulls over a priest.
No,
A cop pulls over a priest, and he said, "Have you been drinking?" And the priest said, "Only water." And the cop said, "But it smells like wine." And the priest said, "He did it again."
Oh my gosh.